Welcome. Welcome to all of you who are here to remember Flaxer, Father. Yeah, I think I'm going to see Can you hear me better now? Yeah. Okay. And as you can see, friend. So we'll begin the service with the recitation of Psalms. I will ask Kent Wilson to come up first, and then the other clergy will be participating, and then Karen Eric will be speaking as well.
I have a beautiful image of Michael covered head to toe with white sunscreen as he smiled laughs at his morning. When we first came to him, he's been a friend for all those years. This is the 23rd song. Adonai,
Thank you, Cantor Goldstein. Cantor chanted Psalm 23, which reads, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Giving me repose in green pastures, leading me beside the still waters, restoring my soul, guiding me in straight paths, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my foes. You have anointed my cup with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever." The psalmist speaks of walking through the valley of the shadow of death. It is indeed a long path ahead of you. Please know that this community, those gathered here those joining us from afar, and your friends here at the Hebrew Education Alliance and at EMH. We're here to walk that path with you. And may it soon open up to new light and new joy. And, we walk this path in the days and years ahead with you. May Mike's memory be for blessing.
I know this was not on anyone's agenda to be here today for Mike's untimely passing and funeral. Had a long relationship with many branches of the family, and including the Israel trip and New York trips for Eric and Karen. In my first iteration, when BMH and BJ became BMH BJ. And I'm also here, of course, with my sister, Lisa Luda, who are dear friends and asked me to be here. So I'm going to offer a familiar psalm to everyone. I lift my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, the maker of heaven and earth. Adonai will not let your foot give way, your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm and guard your life. Adonai guards your going and coming now and forever. Adonai yishmarecha mikol ra yishmar et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar et tzedcha u'ho'echa. Me'ata v'ad olam.
Yerachem al panim v'richem Adonai al Yere'ah. Yehu yadai yitzreinu zakor kefar alachnu. Enosh kechatzir yamav ketzitza sadeh. Ken yatzitz. Yeruach Avraham v'enenu lo yakirenu lo tikro. V'chesed Adonai me'olam v'olam al Yere'ah v'tzikato l'nei. As a father has compassion for his children, Adonai has compassion for those who show reverence. God knows how we are fashioned, God remembers that we are the dust. The days of mortals are like grass, we flourish as the flowers of the field. A wind passes over them and they are no more, and no one can recognize where they grew. But Adonai's compassion is everlasting. God's kindness to children's children, to all the reverent ones, endures age after age, unchanging. Lakol zman ve'et lakol chefetz tachat hashamayim, et laledet ve'et lamut, et latah ve'et lakol latua, et laharog ve'et yirpo, et lifros ve'et livnot. The season is set for everything, a time for planting and a time for reaping, a time for keeping and a time for discarding, a time for laughing and a time for weeping, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for seeking and a time for losing. The psalmist writes, O Lord, we shall dwell in your sanctuary. We shall abide upon your holy mountain. He who lives with integrity, does what is right, and speaks the truth in his heart, who has no slander upon his tongue, who does no evil to his fellow man. It's interesting to note that for the psalmist to be close to God, to dwell in his sanctuary, a Jew must remain close to his fellow human beings, treat others with the respect and dignity that they deserve. Michael Flaxer, Moshe Meir ben Yekutiel de Esther, was a kind man, a humble man, a husband to Sherilyn for 48 years, loving father to Eric and Karen, brother to Lisa. He and Sherilyn were regular Shabbos goers. It was a great pleasure to see them here in the sanctuary every Saturday morning. We would chat after services. We all will miss Michael. He was a gentle presence among us. I know that Eric and Karen will speak of Michael's life, so I will be brief. Michael was born in Denver in 1945 to parents Carl and Evelyn. He grew up with sisters Lisa, Susan, and Lori. Carl was a physician and brought the family to Kingsburg, moving back to Denver when Michael was 12 years old. He went to high school at George Washington High School, and graduated in the first class ever at the school. He had a happy childhood with many friends. He went to CU Boulder for 3 years and then graduated from Denver University. He received a master's degree in social work and social studies and taught in Longmont for 20 years. Later worked at NetLink, the forerunner of Comcast, and he retired in 2008. He and Sherilyn met at the Jewish Community's annual Matzah Ball. They married in 1972 and had Eric in 79 and Karen in 82. Michael and Sherilyn had a good marriage. They understood each other. He was kind to her, a loving presence for their 48 years together. Michael was supportive and always there for his children. He was widely read and knew history and language, was knowledgeable about the Holocaust and the state of Israel. He helped his children with school and with their projects. He was their confidant to help with problems. He was worldly and well-traveled. He knew politics and current events. He had a strong Jewish upbringing, and he was a driving force for Jewish observance in the family. He was very proud to be a Jew. The Flaxers are a very close family. All through the years, Michael and the family spent a lot of time together, Friday nights and weekends. They had a good time together with their many trips through the years to Disney, San Diego, La Jolla. And as Captain Goldstein just mentioned, he was a swimmer, lived for it, did it every day he could. He loved restaurants, seafood, Chinese food. Michael loved his life, he lived it well, he lived it fully, and he was loved. His loving family was by his side to the last moment. They surely comforted him with their presence in the last weeks and days. We will hear more about Michael from his son and daughter, and we'll talk more about him at the Shiva. We ask God that Michael should be bound up in the bodies of eternal life. We ask that Michael now rest in peace. Amen. Eric, would you like to come forward?
Thank everybody here and everybody watching on Zoom. I'm going to repeat it if you remember what I said. But on October 10th, 1945, Dr. Carl and Evan Flaxer were birthing their first child, Michael Jeffrey Flaxer. After finishing medical school, Dr. Flaxer went to Kingsburg as their doctor until my dad was 12 years old, coming back to Denver to have a bar mitzvah. The family, with his sister Susan, moved back to East Denver, where his sisters Lisa and Lori were born. After middle school, my dad had some of the best years of his life at George Washington High School, being the first class to start and graduate from the high school. He later went on to CU for 3 years, and then for his senior year, he transferred to DU. After a brief stint in the Air National Guard, he graduated from DU with a degree in history. Using his GI Bill from the Air National Guard, he would go to UNC in Greeley, Colorado to get his master's in social studies, then return to DU to get 2 more endorsements, one in special education and one as director of special education. Around the same time, he met the eldest daughter of a very insured client, a nice Jewish girl who grew up in the west side of America, later moved to the east. After dating, they married and stayed married for 48 years. Then, years later, with my dad now working as a special education teacher in the St. Vrain Valley School District in Longmont, they welcomed their first child on December 19, 1979, Eric Sean Flaxer, and then 2 years later, on March 8, 1982, their first daughter, Karen Laura. After over 20 years working as a teacher, my dad took a summer job working for Netflix, which is now Comcast. He decided to quit teaching and stay with Comcast for over 12 years. Now, it is hard to speak all about one person in the village. He worked hard to support his family. He taught me basketball, and living in a long state wanted me to learn how to swim and enjoy eating seafood, mainly the nutritional value of fish. We would watch many movies and documentaries since we had many of the same interests. Then, when I got my Wii video game console with my mom and sometimes my sister, we would play golf and golf. But my dad was always happy when he was with me. At the end of the day, there is just so much to miss and so many other things that we as a family would like to have done.
Growing up, my dad was always there. When I was young, I remember he would watch Holocaust documentaries. And only later I realized how much he influenced me to love and appreciate the importance of Israel and being Jewish. Many years ago, he and I would go to shul every Saturday. Daddy was always so knowledgeable with history, vocabulary, and Yiddish. I always enjoyed going to lunch, just the 2 of us, talking about Israel, tires, watching old family movies, investigation discovery, and Israeli series. Most recently, we watched The Valley of Tears about the Yom Kippur War. My family was always big on weekend dinners and holiday parties or birthdays. Sadly, with COVID-19, a lot have changed. Restaurants we grew up closed, and my concern for my mom and dad going out was risky. Last year, my dad started to go to physical therapy at the University Hospital, and I told him he should stop going in March because of COVID, which later they ended up canceling it and started up again in July. When he went, he was so much more positive, and it gave him something to look forward to. One time in September, they had a competition on if it would snow, and he was the only one that said that it would, and he won. With all the COVID restrictions, it was challenging when he was in rehab and could only communicate by phone. It is heartbreaking that Dad is not around. I don't know. It was not good. It will take time for the community and other change here. My dad was the best. I'm very concerned and I'm the best for all of us.
The sweeping wind has blown its last. The tempest is no more. Now is the time for refuge and solace, for lodging in the wilderness. Those of us blessed with having witnessed the care that one human being can show another, you know that wilderness does not last forever. Pain and sorrow may challenge our faith, but the courage to persevere in the face of adversity is a miracle. As long as there is compassion in the human heart and the will to act on the virtue, both human and divine, there is reason to still believe. I would just like to announce to us all, you've probably seen it in the email that was sent out, that we will have Shiva services tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday night at 7 p.m. And you can find the link to those services on the Feldman's website. And I believe it is probably on the HEAdenver.org website as well. For those of you who would like to join the Zoom, you're very welcome to do that tonight at 7, tomorrow, and Thursday at 7 as well. I'd like everyone please to rise for the Lord.
Just want to mention that we think of Michael's sister Susan today as well. And wait, please. I knew I was close to Michael, but my name is Nathan Moshe, and his name is Moshe Nathan. Et nishma Moshe menir ben Yekudia ve'Esther shalach le'olamo began Eden hey menuchato Astirehu, the Satan knapfach, Leolani, Utzerar, Vitzerar, Achayim, Et Nishmatu, Adonai, Nachalato, Ve'anuach Shalom, Nishkavod, Ve'nomar, Amen.
Amalei, Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, the soul of Michael Flaxer, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful one, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. Let us say. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our service here at the Hebrew Educational Alliance. Burial will be at Mount Eagle Memorial Park. We'll ask you to remain in your places as we escort the casket and the family out to the cars. And then if you'd like to join us at the cemetery, please make your way to your car as quickly as possible. We do not have an escorted procession today. You're welcome to follow the hearse in the family car. However, please remember to obey all traffic laws. I'd like the pallbearers to come forward.
My second grade partner is taking her baby to see Flaxer. It's a lady that's on the street. Or no, it's fun. Yeah, so. Online, so I've met her a few times. Big change. And Dolly, who was there for Dolly? You were there for Dolly? Okay, so Dolly's my other person, so. Oh. She's fine. One more year. I think I'll go one more. So I can't remember. Katie just graduated from college, so I got to kind of wait. Yeah. She's only 21, right? So. She graduated December. Business and marketing. So just job promotions starting next week. Yeah. So I was down at some training next week. It's just the word.
She's like, please do.
Well,
I know.
I asked my boss.
did you hear me?
See how the suit didn't
I don't
fit.
know. I was like, I asked. I already asked. Done. We have one side. That's true. Yeah. I feel good. Thank you. I feel very hard.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I decided to go into science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has changed over.
Yeah, I got a little while. Yes, it actually like it's.
Yeah, she planned it well.
The timing was perfect. Accidental, but perfect. Yes. Coincides with the summer break nicely. Yes, how are y'all? Good. Virtual schooling, not that the job is ever easy, but this is probably harder than ever.
makes it a little bit, interesting. Especially like when DPS is down this morning. And I'm like,
What are they gonna, what are they gonna do?
They were out.
Maybe I went down.
Oh, yeah.
The other side.
I know.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
I
it was
kind of
just-
said Yeah, I wasn't sure just because I. And that's like one of the things you have reactions to, but.
Did you have any problems?
Yes.